Hello. I'm reading this book, Notes on Synthesis of Form, by Christopher Alexander. So this is a book on basically on a design, all kinds of design, and it starts very philosophical. And basically, what it says is that every design problem has the form, and there's a context in which that form is living, and the good design is basically when the form fits the context, right? So that, for example, if you're let's say you have a piece of metal and try to basically embed it in the wall, you need to make sure that that piece is like completely fits in. You basically, in this very simple example, you have the form, which is sort of the metal, and you have the context, which is the wall on which you put it. And the good fit here, that if you put one into another, that it's very smooth and you don't see anything coming out of the wall. So with that, the second biggest sort of philosophical thing on design that he talks about is, and I'm just trying to explain as I'm reading it, so that I can see that if I understood it right and makes it actually me remember it better. But the second piece of that, he talks about that when you have a design problem, or let's say there is a design, like there's something is designed, like there's a car or house, we can notice what's wrong with it, right? So we kind of have this concept of good and bad design, because when we see, we can notice what's bad, because the house is leaking, the car is doing, has a thing that is not supposed to be here. And when we do see it, so it's much easier to see sort of the bad designs. So it's much easier to see misfits where the form does not fit the context. So it's not to make a good design, or like let's say you design something. It's not of building a list that this will require. Like imagine of things that can go wrong in a house, right? Something is leaking, the kitchen is in the wrong way, there is no door to garage or something like that. Those things are easy to catch, and those things are what constitute the bad design, because you can basically acknowledge it right away. On the other hand, a good design is something that when we cannot see misfits, where we cannot find what's wrong with that, right? So when you do design, traditionally you would just list things that you need to do, and this list that you need to do in terms of have a good fit could be extremely infinite long. So it's much better and more efficient to create a list of the things that can go bad, and use that because it's a finite list that you can create, and use that when you design a house, for example. And those things you'll have a finitive list, and it will be easier to address. So that's an interesting thing that I haven't been thinking about yet. But the idea here is quite interesting. I haven't thought on design in such philosophic standpoint of the form and the context, which is, it sounds very simple, and the fit. And the biggest thing is that, instead of designing listing of things that this design needs to make to be good at, you need to think of the things that can go wrong and use that to define the list as you're building something new to make a good fit in the context that you're trying to solve that design problem. I hope that was helpful. Highly recommend it if you're a designer.